Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Faisal Rafiq Mahamd Adikan, Vice-Chancellor Universiti Sains Malaysia, and wife yang berbahagia Datin Madari Susanti Ibrahim, Honorable Deputy Vice-Chancellors and the top management of Universiti Sains Malaysia, our beloved campus community, distinguished guests, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, very good day. And thank you for joining us for the Vice-Chancellor's Townhall session with the campus community. Now to set us out on the right footing, I would like to kindly call Ustaz Shukri Osman, our beloved Director of our Islamic Center, to lead us in the recital of the dua. For all non-Muslim members of the audience, kindly do observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Ustaz.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kepada pengurusi, terima kasih kepada Datuk Visi atas keberanian lah untuk mohon kami baca doa dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi yang penting ialah mustajab lah doa tu, bukan bahasa yang digunakan. Jadi sama-samalah kita berdoa dengan hati yang tulus. Dan saya cubalah untuk berdoa dalam bahasa Inggeris menyahut seruan Datuk Visi. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Wa qala rabbukum ud'uni astajib lakum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, ya Mannan. Ya Allah, you are the God who owns the government, who overcomes all power. Glory be to you, Allah, from all shortcomings and weaknesses. We join the hands of servitude, compose words of offer prayers of forgiveness, prayers of gratitude to the great Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the leader of the followers. Make all friends in the same struggle until the next day. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, ya Mannan. You are the most holy God, ya Allah. You are the most giving God, ya Allah. You are the most protecting God, ya Allah. You are the God who has blessed the ocean of pleasure that pours. You are the most compassionate and most generous God, ya Allah. Soften our heart to thank you and surrender. Avoid us from all hardships and misfortune, so that we are grateful for all the blessings and graces. Allahumma ya dhal jud wal karam, ya dhal fadli wal ihsan. Ya Allah, bless our program today, Town Hall session with the campus community, with the yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Faisal Rafiq Mahamd Adikan, Vice-Chancellor of Universiti Sains Malaysia. Enlighten our hearts with prudent knowledge, shower us with drops of mercy, mawaddah and maghfirah, so that we can stand upright and support USM's goal of excellence with full trust, united and not divided. blessed by God under the auspices of USM's fraternity, which is made easy by virtue full of wisdom, under the protection of angel of mercy, rewarded for all efforts and fatigue in this world, happy, and there will be paradise. Allahumma ya akramal akramin, wa ya wasi'al maghfirah, wa ya badi'as samawati wal ard. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma, wa tafaruqana min ba'dihi tafaruqan ma'suma. Allahumma ya Allah Almighty, purify our hearts from sins, strengthen our faith all the time, set our faith up to heaven, accompany us with your pleasure every moment and times, so that we are invited home in husnul khatimah with soul accepted. Allahumma antas salam wa minkas salam, wa ilayka ya'udu salam, fahayna rabbana bis salam, wa adkhilna al-jannata daras salam, tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alik, ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah, wa fil akhirati hasanah, wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallahu minkum.
Thank you, Ustaz Shukri Osman. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining us today in our town hall session. And we also like to give a shout out to those who are following us on our live streams, both on YouTube and Facebook as well. We wish you could be here, at least you are here with us in spirit, if not mind. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a Swahili proverb that says, asiyefunzwa na mamae hufunzwa na ulimwengu, which literally translates to whoever is not taught by the mother is taught then by the world. We may now know the more popular morphed version of it. It takes a village to raise a child. On that similar vein, in a different context, it takes all of us here to raise this university. You, me, everyone else in front, the entire campus community. And in this, it's this essence that the Vice-Chancellor initiated his series of town hall sessions to engage, to be more inclusive, to be more egalitarian, to allow us to share his pain, to allow us to rejoice in our gain, to allow us to aspire with his dreams, to know what USM now stands for, what we have faced, and what we are about to face. You are the you in USM. The USM may appear to be led by the few in front here, but every one of us knows that it is all of you, the many, that uphold this university. So let us raise this university together. With that, that comes to the end of my opening act. Now to the main show, the true headliner. I give you your Vice-Chancellor and mine, Professor Faisal Rafiq Muhammad Adikan. Sir, the stage and floor is yours. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Arman. Thank you, Ustaz Shukri, for the courage in reciting in his dua in English. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. Thank you so much for attending this. Basically, this is a briefing. This is a call for everyone to chip in. As Arman said, one of the things that we do, this current line of management, is that we like to be as transparent as possible. We like to rope everyone to help build this university. I chose the cover of our annual report for last year. It says, lebih cekal, lebih kental, or more persistent, more resilient. It has been tough, 2020, 2021, but I think we managed it. We were united in dealing with all the challenges. And today, I'd like to report some of the progress, but also to share with you what I thought would be the challenges that lie ahead, and it will require us to be even more persistent, more, we have to persevere more. I like to think that when we were managing this university, more often than not, we chose the harder truth and not the easier wrongs. And yes, it was, in many cases, it has been somewhat painful as well. And in leadership, leaders enjoy none of the glory, but shoulder all the blame. And again, today it's not about me as VC, but as a team. I believe everyone cares for USM. Over the past 3 years, there have been celebrated successes and also humbling failures. There are things that we try to do, but it failed. But I think one of the things that we need to realize is that nation building is never easy. I mean, if you feel proud of the nation, if you feel proud of this institution, then it is never easy to build a nation or an institution. It requires everyone to give their utmost commitment, and you have to persevere and be patient for results. Right. I plan to just speak for half an hour, and then we'll open for question and answers and perhaps suggestions or some of your views as well. So the clock starts now at 3. So there's just 2 parts to this. Some updates on USM. These are probably results of this choosing harder truths as opposed to easier wrongs. And part 2, 2 important documents or 2 very important initiatives, Strategic Plan 2022 to 2024, and of course the Special Budget. Special Budget 2023 is the 4th installment, if I'm not mistaken, or the 3rd Special Budget. And the aim is to spend the largest after we've actually learned from the performance of the 2 or 3 special budgets before. So the big question is, did we experience progress? I chose did we experience progress because sometimes people will not say the university progress unless they personally receive some benefit from it. And I think that is not the right way of looking at it. Sometimes we need to celebrate in the fact that the institution progress, and we will get our chance in enjoying that. So some examples, we've played the USM corporate slide while we're waiting for this talk to begin. This is just a compressed version. Students, in the past 3 years, if you look at the graduate employability, USM is higher than the national average. So the national average is 85.5%, ours is 90.5%. For a university that is offering a comprehensive, for a comprehensive university that is considered high. And what drove graduate employability during COVID times is that we use our own funding to fund students to go to their internship. And they can actually intern with USM as well. For first and second years. And we've moved on from that intern to go with student gig economy. We are hiring students for our operations. We've gained traction, there's some success there, and we want to go on, go on a big way. The life program and Meta Life is unique to USM. 300 students were involved in the first round. We are probably the only university that is using experiential points, and we teach our students financial literacy, genomics and gerontology, innovative thinking, which involve computational and design thinking, taught by people from the School of Arts, School of Architecture, and as well as computer science, the left and the right brain. So all these are unique. And of course, the folks from Hebat Rocket, the first group from Malaysia to have participated in this. And from 152 groups, we came 11th. This is a multiracial, multi-year group of students. And they raised about 210,000 on their own. This is exemplary, and we want to actually replicate this. We spend quite a lot as well in terms of creating blueprints that we can actually build on, all of which are meant for students and staff. So we have the Nest as an incubator, we have student hostels, and it's not an overnight process, but we have to continue the momentum. In Minden 11800, we invest on virtual reality, so we can actually expose our students to VR and AR. And more of this. I don't have the pictures for the labs, but we also give money for labs as well to improve the facilities in labs. And I'll talk a bit more on that. For members of staff, we also have special programs. We have this milk program a year ago or 2 years ago. We issued tablets for our staff. We were the first to announce work from home before the pandemic. We are still the only university that has a facility for special needs children, of kids of our members of staff. And from our investment, from the dedication of our staff, it was announced in this year's budget, and now we are leading the way to guide other universities, at least 4 or 5 universities, to have a similar service in those respective universities as well. In a way, we've led in that sense. Our community engagement as well. One of the most recent one is we took about 1,000 students from low-performing schools, where all these students, typically for SPM, they will get about grade E or F or D. And from the 1,000 that were involved, 995 or 998, if I'm not mistaken, all passed their SPM, and some of them passed with 8A. So again, as an institution, although the equation is very easy, you have students, they enter university, we add value, they graduate and get jobs and turn around their family fortune. But as an institution, we are not in a vacuum. A lot is required of us. We have to deliver what we need to deliver, plus be a good member of the community, plus do all sorts of things as well. And we try, we try to address all those. So this is quite impressive as well in terms of community engagement. And these are things that our members of staff and students enjoy. In terms of health services, we are breaking new grounds. We are the first to participate in SOCSO. This is an exoskeleton. So this technology, for someone who is wheelchair bound, under typical treatment, it probably take them about a year, 2 years to start walking again. Using this exoskeleton, typically it will be shortened to 6 months. And now we are moving towards having slots for our members of staff and potentially students as well to use this in the case of injury and whatnot. We are leading in terms of brachytherapy, and again, HUSM have recently introduced quite a number of new services as well, laser refractive and a new MRI. So in terms of academics and also students as well, we began our spin-off and start-up ecosystem, the pitch. This will allow our staff to commercialize, to get more grants. In the past 2 years, we've formed about 22 spin-off and start-up companies, and they've actually have recruited, I think, more than 45 employees, and most of them are our alumni, our students, our undergraduates and postgraduates. We've invested about 200,000 in 2021 for spin-off. We get back in terms of grants and revenue amounting to about 1.6 million. So that's an 8 times return of investment. This year, we've invested about 125,000. As of June, we received revenue plus grant, pre-com grant, worth about 1.2 million. So that's about 10 times return. And if you look at this one, YBhg, the last one, the company called YBhg, this was a bunch of students who pitched under the pitch platform. We gave them 10,000 ringgit. They were noticed by an industry, and they went on to actually apply to form a spin-off company and get grants as well, and also some external funding. In terms of our commitment to micro-credential, which again we funded, at this point of time we have about 530 modules, micro-credentials. Micro-credentials, we have 2 types of micro-credentials. One is for educational purposes, one for upskilling and reskilling. Our team in HUSM, for example, the nurses, have began earning some payments from this micro-credential, and we are very well positioned to expand further with regards to micro-credential. And this is also an enabler to allow our vision to do 3 years in a university and 1 year in industry through micro-credential as well. All right, so these are a couple of things. And of course, in terms of research, you can see all the graphs, the research outcome, whether it's in terms of publication, whether in terms of quality journals, whether in terms of citations as well. You can see all the graphs are in the upward trend. In terms of grants, national grants, international grants, and also industrial grants as well. Some of them are showing somewhat exponential growth. And this is important as well, as we are actually bringing more and more postgraduates. And through these grants and through this collaboration, the name of USM, our reputation will increase, and this will allow more collaboration with better institutions, better industries as well. In terms of development, we are now, we are almost at the final phase of solar installation here in the main campus, but we're about to start engineering and also the health campus. This costs USM nothing, zero, but they fix our roofs, and for this particular campus, we're probably going to save about 3 million a year from electricity bills, which those savings will go back to students, whether they are postgraduates or undergraduates. We are really looking forward to engineering. This is the artist's impression of the new, the circular one on top is the new 800-bed Desa Siswa in engineering, and there'll be a 20 acres mixed development in engineering. Again, it costs us nothing. We are at the final stages where we are waiting for the development order agreement from the state. And with this facility, I think we can actually bring a bit more color to the engineering campus. Not only that it doesn't cost us anything, we get some leasing, some payment from the contractor that was awarded this project as well. And finally, with regards to the health campus, in terms of the use of land, this year we've solved a 40-year stalemate in the sense of resolving the use of land in the health campus, which will pave way for more development in the health campus for us to revisit our Apex Medical Center facilities for specialist services as well. 40 years. It's resolved this year, so those land now belongs to Ministry of Higher Education instead of Ministry of Health, and essentially it belongs to USM. And there are a lot more to be said, but I think I'll just summarize that the key enablers for us to manage to attain all those achievements and more are the people who persisted and persevered. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has been involved in this, and of course the leaders, those who you see here, and of course the previous ones, Prof. Aldrin and Prof. Farhan, who served under me. We always put USM first. We chose harder truths over easier wrongs, although sometimes it's extremely painful. And we've made progress with regards to resources. And all those programs, you need to fund them. You can have the best people in the planet, but if you don't allow them to prosper, you don't provide some resources, some support, especially in terms of funding, they can't go far. And of course, we have partners as well. Now, speaking of money and partners, this is something that I don't usually share with everyone. So if you look at that graph, I'm going to just dwell on this for a bit. This was reported in June. So the first graph, that one there, top left, shows USM in relation to other research universities when it comes to how much cash do we have within the first 6 months of this year, given the fact that there are budget cuts and we don't get what we asked for. If you look at that among all 5 RUs, research universities, USM, as we enter the second half of this year, we had about 46 million cash reserve. And then you compare that with other RUs, the second one is 15 million, which is 3 times lower than us. The third is 7 million, which is about 6 times lower. And at least 2 of the RUs have actually overspent. They now have to dig into their savings to pay for salaries, to pay for services and all those things. This has to do with how we generate income, but if you look at the other graph as well, the one on the left side, which now was on the right-hand side, you can see that we are actually very disciplined in our spending as well, in the sense that others have actually used up quite a lot, 122% from their targeted budget. We just exceed by 10.9%. So we've been disciplined, and we've actually been generating income. And one of the partners that have been key to our progress is Sains. So Mr. Farid here is the group managing director, and we have some Sains staff as well. We've grown in terms of our collection by 30% by 2 weeks ago. So you look at 2022 and 2021, there's a 30% growth in terms of our collection revenue. This comes from fees, from businesses, from all the projects that I've mentioned just now, and also being very prudent. And I say this because it is important for us to weather whatever financial storm that we're going to face in the coming years. The country is not doing too well with regards to generating income for herself. But I want to also assure everyone that whatever money that we make will be plowed back to our staff and students. And this will be the subject of the second part, which is on the special budget. So, and this is the last slide for the first part. It's good that we actually have this kind of performance in terms of finances, but here's what's waiting for us in terms of finance as well. We expect a 5% cut by the government. It has been put in writing. We have to deal with minimum wage policy. So suddenly all the cleaners, the people who actually manage landscape in the university, we have to absorb the increase in their salary. They used to pay their workers 1,200, now it's 1,500. That works out to be about 3 million ringgit extra that we have to pay in the next 2 years. Then this is something called Icpt, which is basically additional amount that you have to pay to TNB because of the rise of the price of coal. That works out to be about 2 million now, additional that we have to pay. Because there's a general increase in prices, and for our staff, they can actually claim 50% of their remuneration, what is called as the replacement for annual leave. And this year alone, I think we've actually paid out about 7 million. And of course, there was bonus announced and new rates in terms of annual increment for salaries. And there's a growing medical bills as well for our staff, their spouse, their children as well. So at the end, I think we saw and experienced some progress, but there are also challenges. And I think to continue making progress and sustain this momentum that we've built, the next 2 or 3 years will be tougher. And we expect more and more people to come to the fore, join the bus, and actually build this institution. Okay, so that's the first part. And I think I delivered that about 15 minutes, so it's 5 minutes over. So this is the second part, right? In order for us to continue what has been built, there are 2 large initiatives, which is the strategic plan and also the special budget. Now, before I go to the strategic plan and special budget, which requires everyone's understanding, if you ask me whether I'm happy with the progress that we've made, my answer would be not really. I'm not too, I'm happy that we've made progress. We've managed to get some parties off our back in terms of MIRA, in terms of assessment and all those things. We are calmer in that sense. We don't have external pressures. But there are still some fundamental issues that we need to solve, which we've not managed to solve. And hopefully, after we've progressed, we can actually spend more time and resources to look into this. What are they, right? Some of the things that I'm about to share with you, I think even the top management do not know about this. We've began tracking not only the socio-economic background of our students, but we also began tracking whether they are the first from their family to come and pursue a degree in USM. And then that's an important trait, because those who are the first from the family that comes and do a degree, they don't tend to have a frame of reference. They cannot refer to their dad, their mom, or whatever, right? And this is the statistics for two cohorts, 2021 and 2022. And it will be interesting to also see what is their CGPA when they graduate and how many of them receive a job offer. So as an institution, we've not managed to track this thoroughly. We've not intervened, we've not had a targeted intervention fully. We leave it to the students. When they come here, we expose them to all the opportunities, and it's really up to them to pursue this, right? Even, you can see that when they join us, 73% of them join with a CGPA of 3.5, and within 1 or 2 years, about 20% will move towards CGPA of 3 to 3.49. Or is that an adjustment kind of an issue? We provide enough support to these students? We don't know. We've looked at our zakat performance as well. So 2020 and 2021, these are the number of students who receive zakat. So those who receive zakat tend to be from the poorest of families. Now when we track in terms of their graduate employability, overall, it looks like a good number. For 2020, 73% of those who previously received zakat will receive a job offer. And for 2021, it's about 83.9%, which is good. But if you look closer, 56% for 2021, if you look at the table down there, from the 83.19% of the poorest of the students from USM that receive a job within 6 months of graduating, 56% tend to fetch salaries that is below the minimum wage. Now, if someone were to pose the question, what value that we add to these students after 4 years here with PTPN, with some educational debt as well, it's difficult for us to answer this. If people were to ask what kind of impact did you change people's life when they come to USM, did you change the family fortune? This number doesn't say so. Okay, that's some things that we really have to look into. We do not have a culture of health and safety. I do not want to wait until someone dies in the lab so that we can start this. If we have done this periodically, then our numbers will not be like 2021 where USM, all campuses, in terms of compliance to occupational safety, health and environment, we only have 11% as in green. 55.56% we do not comply. And in order to turn around this, to go from 2021 to 2022, where we've grown the green part to 16%, and the red part we've actually reduced to 27%, with 55% in the yellow, which is partially comply, we had to spend north of 1.7 million. 1.7 million that you do not see go to you, because it's all about looking at the environment, see how we can do things as well. And we're about to spend more as well, because the ideal situation is 100% compliant, or at least 80%. And this is due to years of neglect. There is no culture of OSHE in USM. We have to appoint someone from outside to do this. And there's a lot of work to be done. And it requires everyone's commitment and understanding as well. We have about 665 labs altogether. We have about 359 staff from the C grade. And again, that is a lot of labs. And it would be fantastic if you are a student of science, you can seamlessly use labs in physics or in bio or in computer science, and we don't have to replicate equipment as well, and all the equipment are in poor conditions as well. Someone has to look into this, and people have to open their doors for users to come, and there must be a level of trust as well. This is also something that worries me non-stop. We do not also have a culture of cleaning up our facilities and labs. Statistically, we found that 24,000 equipment are more than 10 years old or even 20 years old. 24,000. We don't even know whether we can locate some of them. This equipment should have been removed, should have been condemned a long time ago. This is something that the Audit General of Malaysia will always look into, how we manage our inventory. And this requires us to actually work non-stop day and night to clean up so that we don't get caught in terms of not managing our assets and our lab equipment as well. The money that we spent in purchasing those 24,000 equipment was 400 million. Although now, in terms of the value after years of usage, it's about 24,000 only. But they have to disappear. And I can expect some resistance, especially from researchers and their lab, because they think that it's their lab. They actually secured the grant and brought the equipment into USM. People have to realize that regardless, that is USM's property. If we get caught not managing lab well, or some equipment disappeared, or some were purchased and not used, it's USM's name that will be, that will be reported. And this requires lots of discipline, and people have to understand what we're doing now. And there are lists of issues that we've not done as well. We've not adopted OBE in that sense. We don't have any quantitative measure in terms of the quality of our programs, undergraduate programs, and this has to stop, or else we will not get our self-accreditation status. Of course, the labs. We need a succession plan very quickly. Some big names are leaving us, retiring, Prof. Karim, Prof. Zazi, and quite a few others. Would there be people coming to the fore to actually replace? Some of the DVCs are looking at retirement very soon. And of course, who will be the VC, for example, right? With the increase of number of international students, and of course the families, I think we really need to look into how we manage, how we take care of their well-being as well. All right, so we've actually saw an exponential increase in international students. We should then increase in terms of our services as well. And we still have ongoing issues in terms of staff career progress. We've not gone to the ground fully in terms of looking at individual academics, how they're going to proceed in their career. The S scheme, S Pusat Islam, the DG, these are all ongoing issues that have not been dealt with properly, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go quickly. What is the plan? So with all that situation in mind, we have this strategic plan and we have this special budget. And for USM strategic plan, we have 4 large strategic objectives, 9 commitments and 19 strategies. So I'm going to just dwell on it a bit. These are the commitments that we're making, right? These are the commitments that we're making by 2024, 2025. We need to attain this. One is we want to commit 1% of our annual operation expenditure for training, international exposure, citizenship, leadership course, and all those things for our staff. If you want to create leaders, then we have to expose them more. So we have to take them, train them, send them abroad, go to Harvard, go to INSEAD, go to INSEF, go to Sains Business School, so on and so forth. They need to understand APEC's agenda. So that is our commitment. 1% of our annual budget will be about 5 to 7 million ringgit a year for training, for support staff, for PNP as well. We want to double the number of childcare facilities. I think childcare is very related to staff well-being. And at some point, we have to also think about how we're going to deal with childcare for our international colleagues, whether they are staff or students as well. This is a large commitment. We want to make sure that all our undergraduates will go through the LIFE program. They must spend some time abroad, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, and they must spend at least a year in the industry, all. And that's going to be tough. And we are also committed towards this micro-credential, so hopefully we have this 20% increase in enrollment of lifelong learners. So how are we going to go about doing that? Obviously, one is to bring more leaders as well. You want to strategically recruit new APs and professors from other institutions. Hopefully we are strong enough to attract those talents. Of course, I mentioned about training just now. We are in the midst of looking at the new promotion criteria for academics. And those are all self-explanatory. The second is that if you want to be impactful in terms of our research, 35% of the funding should go towards impacting community and also industry. And for that, we really need to improve our research areas and also facilities. One of the things that we want to look into very thoroughly is we want to give at least up to 10% of our postgraduates some form of financial assistance and scholarships as well. Again, a huge commitment. At this point of time, we are addressing about 2.5%. Recently, we had a discussion where we actually want to increase that to 5%. And next year, probably will increase to about 7.5% of our total postgraduate population. We have a lot of high-profile collaboration that we need to actually leverage on. In fact, just yesterday, I was actually selling to get AT&S, a substrate company, to come and open a 30 million ringgit institute here in USM. So we need the talents to drive this. We need the champions to do this. UTP has 2 high COE from 600 academic staff. We have 2,000 academic staff. We only have 3 high COEs. So something has to be done to alleviate the performance of our COEs as well. And we will focus on championing people and planet. Managing to secure 200 million plus half of this year was good, but I think ideally we want to get up to 400 million annually. That will allow us to plow a lot more, make more changes. We are good at in terms of carbon footprint, but we're looking at 4 tons per person per year by 2025. So instead of apart from solar, we have to deal with biodiversity, we have to deal with water management, we have to deal with waste management as well. And we really need to do some business review process because we're not hiring anymore in terms of professional PNP staff and also Pelaksana. So somehow that has to lie within business process review. So some of the things that we want to do, and this is one of the major projects, is we will actually split IPPT into 2. One is IPPT for research and one is Pusat Perubatan USM Bertam. So in the next 4 or 5 years, we will have a full-fledged health service in Bertam. And that would, now if you get sick, if you get really sick, we have to transport you to HUSM in Kelantan. And this thought about opening a health service in Bertam has always been there since the inception. This year, we are actually unlocking quite a number of things, but there's plenty of work to be done as well. We need to outsource, and we are about to embark on an ESG audit, environment, social, and governance, to see where we are with regards to ESG. And the last one is on branding, something that I'm not very comfortable with. I'm not sure whether this is the right thing to do, but we'll work on that, where we need to tell all these success and stories so to get traction and get more attention, more people to contribute to USM. Right, so the final part is a special budget 2023. I say here the wish list because usually what happens is that I would propose to the university, this is what I think we should spend on, and then the bursar will have a say, and then it will be brought to the board. And as I mentioned just now, we are not that strong financially. In relation to others, we are strong, but we're not out of the woods yet. But some of these things that we want to do is, again, that training. 5 million is probably the largest amount that we set aside. This has not been approved. I have to do my selling as well. In terms of postgraduate assistance, research fellowship and all those, we are setting aside 9 million. That's the aim for next year. In terms of health and safety, we are actually putting in 2.5 million to increase our compliance to go above 55%. We will introduce PC and laptop rebate for our staff worth 2.5 million. There are certain percentage of allocation for academics, for PNP and also for Pelaksana. For academics, it's about 1,800 ringgit rebate. For Pelaksana, the lowest grade is about 2,200. You can keep them. So we don't have to bring these laptops into our inventory, but you can bring those laptops to work, or you can actually use that with your family as well. For student mobility, international, locals, about 3 million. It is my wish to see more students go out there. It doesn't have to be Europe. It can be Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, but they have to go out there, especially those first in the family to do a degree, especially those who receive zakat and wakaf. We have to force the issue. We need the academics to identify them. We need the deans to push them. Don't go on voluntary basis. They won't take this opportunity. They will be scared to do so. Our commitment to life and meta life is about 1 million. Intern at USM is about 100,000. This is first and second year students doing intern in USM to beef up their marketability. We will start employing more students to help us in our operation. We're setting aside 250,000 ringgit. This will include spouse of our international students as well. For student competition, we're putting about 500,000. That's again my wish, my suggestion. We're going to invest big on metaverse as well. We have traction, and now we're going to put about 1.75 million, hopefully. We're going to have to support our nerve center for potential disasters and all those things, about 750,000. For micro-credential, for key modules that we use for upskilling and reskilling, we'll have this arrangement where we pay you upfront to prepare your micro-credential for industries. So this is coming as well, and we have to invest in our fleet for vehicles, new four-wheel drives and all those things. And other things that we are looking into which needs funding is that, again, the advent of people with cancer has actually increased over the years, so we might go for making it compulsory for those of age 45 and above to do a periodic health screening, probably for colorectal cancer as well, prostate cancer and also breast cancer. We are trying to raise funds from Ministry of Finance to have a mobile oncology facility that will be parked in Icpt Bertam. Again, there's a lot of investment to go into childcare, increase in terms of transit services. Team building, I found out that some of our support staff, for example, Keselamatan, have never been to any form of team building for the past 8 or 10 years. This is not on. I think we need to actually appreciate them as well and send them and go some team building. We're looking at larger compensation via tabung kebajikan. Of course, we need to set money for schools and COEs, and also agencies like Penerbit and so on and so forth, Pusat Sejahtera. And we want to continue funding spin-off and start-up page. And this year, we really have to solve our biodiversity vision in terms of water management and waste management as well. And we want to actually bring more, relations closer. So we have Club Jasa Budi, we have the unions, we have alumni, we have all the various student societies as well to fund. And with that, the point there is that be part of the conversation, be part of the process, and we need to roll with the punches. We still have to persevere and persist in the next 2 or 3 years, and we always have to put USM first. So with that, I'll end my talk, half an hour as promised, and now we're open for question and answer. I have all the members of management here, so I don't necessarily have to answer all the questions. You can direct your question to any members of the management. And the slides will be made available, and the slides that contain all the achievements, our standard corporate slide will also be sent out as well. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera.
Thank you. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Faisal Rafiq Mahamd Adikan, Vice-Chancellor Universiti Sains Malaysia. Right, as this is a town hall session, we truly welcome and invite any one of you to express your views, feedback, questions, criticisms, brickbats, anything. We are here to answer. We, right, yeah. Except me, I'm here to just... we already have one question actually, just to start the ball rolling. Okay, this is from an engineering student, Ten Yik Han. Thank you for your question. All right, I'll read the question verbatim. As a student from the engineering campus who values public transport as the future of our nation, I would like to ask if it's possible to extend the shuttle bus service between the main campus and engineering campus to weekends as well. Currently, we only have shuttle buses for the said origin and destination on weekdays only. And number two, will USM consider working or voicing out to Rapid Penang to restore the CAT Sungai Dua line in the main campus and line 804 in the engineering campus? The first question is about whether we can extend the existing shuttle bus service from the engineering campus to the main campus on weekends as well. And number two, to consider discussions with Rapid Penang to restore our former CAT services Sungai Dua as well as the line 804 in the engineering campus.
Thank you for the question. I think Professor Linda and also Professor can answer this. But the larger vision is that if we develop the engineering campus to what, to using this RFP, then the requirement for students to commute from the main to engineering would probably be reduced as well. So whatever happens, this Gerbang project has to work, and the Sesi has to work as well. I think we had issues with regards to, again, rising costs when it comes to all the shuttle service. And, in terms of the number of trips that we make in a daily. Professor Linda or Professor, do you want to answer? Yes.
Can we have the mic on, please?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. We take note of the shuttle buses from main campus to engineering and vice versa. We shall analyze more because we need to really look at we really need to assess on the needs, whether how many percentages of students wanting to use that services and so forth, because the prices of the rental per day costs us about 750 ringgit per day, so we really need to look into this matter in more detail. But at the moment, whatever with regards to students' activities, we do provide services, special services, if there is a need for more students to be transported for any events and programs. Okay, but we'll take note of that. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, okay. We are still waiting for questions, perhaps some from the floor. Mics are being provided, so you can use the mics. Just to add on to the earlier question, actually the shuttle bus comes under JPPA, right? So unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, I can also add on. Actually, this request has been already forwarded from HEPA to look into this. We are still looking at the frequency of extending the service on weekends, and we might have an additional shuttle, but not as frequent as it is on a daily basis during the weekend, because we have yet to see the use and the frequency from the engineering campus on the weekend, but we hope to try out, and we will implement at least one additional or two additional trips on one of the weekends, either Saturday or Sunday, once the semester begins, hopefully.
Okay, any other question or any burning question?
Yeah, yes, please.
It's can't be that clear. So, okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
So my name is Chong Kahua and I'm one of the undergraduate from Environmental Technology, TI School. So now I'm currently doing my FYP. So regarding the bus service, the shuttle bus service, I would like to ask if it is possible to extend the services between hostel areas to the school. Because currently we are walking around 1.4 km from the hostel to school and then back. Like every day we are repeating this schedule. So with our bags and laptops around, it will be quite burden to our health.
Okay.
Yeah, and if it's not possible regarding the cost or whatever, so is it possible to place us nearer to the school, like CGH or Fajar instead of Restu, because it's quite far for us? Yeah, thank you very much.
I think it's a possibility. I think Prof. Azinda will look into it, and I will see some follow-ups very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, please?
Hi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ali Qureshi.
Ali Qureshi.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, our the Vice-Chancellor. Actually, I have one suggestion that I want to put on this floor. That is regarding the publication. Every student is compelled for the Q1 and Q2 publications that we need to input our research in Q2, Q1 journals. However, our focus is not on the journal which are belonging to USM itself, like Malaysian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. It is standing in Q3. So instead of going through the journals which are out of the country for the other universities, rather if we ask our staff that they can instruct the students to publish their publication in the journals of USM itself, it can not only increase the economical thing of the USM, but also it will increase the ranking of the journal which is belonging to USM. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Prof. Rahman to answer this, but before that, I'd just like to highlight some fundamental, we have to understand some fundamental things. One, I don't think supervisors should instruct students to publish in Q1, Q2. It doesn't work that way ideally. It should be, if the data is good, you publish in Q1 and Q2. It's not part of the graduation requirements, you know. So when I was leading my own research group, I told students there are two approaches to do here. One, if you are worried about graduating and the requirement is to publish in any Q, Q4, Q3, Q2 and Q1, then please do so. I have to earn my Q1 and Q2 in other ways. But some of my students insist that they want to publish in Q1, Q2 because they get better reviews. And this feedback will be good in preparation for their Viva. And these are typically the aspirational ones, the students who don't take, who always put a high bar on themselves. Eventually, the group every year will deliver its Q1 and Q2, sometimes exceeding that because of that culture. So that's the first thing. So yes, why the emphasis on Q1 and Q2 is because one of the requirements of being a research university is that you have to deliver a certain number of publication of quality. USM lost about 16 million ringgit worth of research university funding in 2019 and between 2019 and 2020. 16 million ringgit. And those funds, the 16 million, should have gone towards research fellowship, postdoc, library subscription, paying for paper fees, special research, bridging grant, and so on and so forth. The people who are accountable for this are the academics. right? So these are the things that I like to say up front before I pass this to Prof. Rahman. I think your point is good, Ali, because we should support our own journal as well. But again, there are plenty of master students who also need to publish, who can actually, it's a progression. You start being a postgraduate, you don't attempt Q1, Q2 straight away. You dabble with Q4, Q3, you go to your first technical conference, you sweat to present to fellow researchers, and then you build a reputation for yourself, you gain some insight from feedback, then you tackle the Q2 and Q1. There's a time element to it as well. This is something that sometimes it falls between the cracks. Sometimes people don't understand this and start imposing on others, which is, it's okay to be ambitious, but you can't, you shouldn't press others to pay the price for your ambition. I hope you understand what I'm saying. All right, so Praman?
Okay, I think the Vice-Chancellor answered very well. Okay. Let me put it this way. As far as graduation is concerned, you don't need to publish in Q1, Q2. Okay, like mentioned by the VC just now. As for PhD student, I think science you need to publish 2 papers of any Q or 1 paper of Q1, Q2. Or, yeah? Or. So that's on the graduation side. But some funding, yeah, like FRGS and certain grant, they do tell that the KPI must be 1 paper or 70% of the paper published must be in Q1, Q2. And this is coming from LRGS, for example, you have to publish 50 papers. And 70% of it, or 35 papers, must be from Q1, Q2. So if your supervisor or advisors are getting grant of that nature, then they themselves have to publish. And if you are getting the funding as a graduate student, GRA and whatnot, to do that, then you are expected to do that. So you have to discuss with your supervisor when they take you as your student, are they getting funding? Because you are the one going to deliver. But as mentioned by VC, people don't expect everyone to publish Q1, Q2. So normally we expect those from a PhD student, because they already have experience for their master, now they're doing PhD, maybe they can publish Q1, Q2. But as far as master is concerned, you can publish Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. But on the other hand, the quality is also important for your CV now. You have many people who have master and PhDs. So when you want to be hired, sometimes people will see in what journal people publish. So again, you can go for quality, but that is not a requirement as far as graduation is concerned. But when you want to talk about my side, NYCITE and whatnot, yeah, we do encourage people to send papers there. But unfortunately, under MIRA, there is a maximum number you can send there. They expect you to publish in at least Corpus or WOS. Again, like mentioned by VC, because we didn't have enough publication in WOS or Q1, Q2, we didn't get the cutoff mark of 75, and we lost lots of money. Lots of money. Last year alone, we lost 6 million ringgit. Yeah, instead of getting 25, we only got 19.1. So again, a lot of things cannot be, cannot be implemented or have to be reduced. So again, agree with the VC, discuss with your supervisor. I don't call supervisor, I call them advisor. They advise you, okay? But if they have funding, you need to listen to them. That's all from me.
Thank you, Rahman.
Yeah, sure, you can use the mic, please. At the back, just behind you there's a mic, yes.
Regarding what
can you introduce yourself first?
Yeah.
My name is Saleh Mohammed, a postgraduate student from HBP.
HBP, yeah.
HBP, yes. Prof, thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Do you mind taking off your mask? Because
okay,
it's not
thank
that
you for
clear.
the wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
An addendum to what the Prof has just finished saying has to do with my own, what do I say, a paper, a Q1 I have written. From the amount they asked me to pay, I know we cannot be able to pay that amount. That is a whole 1,400 pounds. So I advised my supervisor that we should look for a waiver. So in a situation, sometimes when you ask or when you send a paper and the paper comes out and it was accepted, the amount, I feel that when the amount was mentioned to me, I said that amount is too much, 1,400 pounds. And my supervisor told me that, yeah, it's too much. And possibly USM may not be able to pay that amount. So what do? I advised my supervisor that let's look for a waiver. And I think we filled the waiver day before yesterday also. So we're waiting for the result. So I believe that possibly the Q1, Q2 of 18 should not be a yardstick. But sometimes the price, even if the paper is accepted, the price, can we be able to pay that amount? For me, I know definitely I cannot be able to raise that kind of amount. 1,400 pounds.
Yep.
It's too much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. You just mentioned that you advised your advisor. That's fantastic. Let me just be frank with everyone. This is a new phenomenon, if you ask me, in the sense that there's a rising paper fees. When I was doing a PhD, that these issues were not there. And suddenly, it becomes, and to the point where people say this is a multi-million ringgit business as well. And yes, the universities are always grappling. If you put yourself in our shoes, right? On one hand, you want to secure the necessary funding, which put a requirement for this, Q1 and Q2, which will then give your funding, which then you plow back to Q1 and Q2. So it's a vicious cycle. The more you raise, the more you have to spend on this Q1 and Q2. And there's an element of capitalism in that somewhere. If you ask me personally, it would be ideal if you go on open science, if the powers that be agrees that, let's shift to open science, because this is not sustainable. Prices will continue to increase, access to database continue to increase as well. But as management, our concern is you, so we have to find, borrow, steal, to make sure that you get access to the database, you get to publish, and you become, you start your career as an academic on a positive note, if you like. But you raise a very important point. It's always an ongoing discussion on management. How do we fund this, and to what level, to what limit? If it continues to grow in terms of fees, then what? So yeah, I have no answer for that, to be honest with you. It's a 3-4 years recent phenomenon that is getting worse and worse. Yeah.
Dato, if I may add, actually, if you are publishing in Q1, the university will pay 4,000 ringgit from the USM. We will support with 4,000 ringgit. And then you can use the remaining using your grant. You can request. Yeah, I know you are talking about if you are talking about 1,000 paper, 4,000 ringgit, that's 4 million ringgit to the university. So we do give support, 4,000 for Q1 and 2,000 for Q2. But many grant funders now, they are allowing you to use their grant money to pay for the paper under Word 29. Okay? That's all.
Okay, any more questions?
Okay, I will take some from online as well, email. Okay, this is from Nuruddin Abdul Rahman. Is there any plans regarding free installation of USM healthcare facility for international students and their families?
Again, sorry, what was the question? What was the question again?
Pardon?
The question?
Yeah. Is there any plan regarding free installation of USM healthcare facility for international students and their families?
Free healthcare?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So what we're offering is almost free, to be honest with you. I was approached by a number of USMI students when I was in Kelantan, and they were indicating in terms of the insurance which is paying for inpatient rather than outpatient. And I actually asked HEPA and also Profesor to relook at the fees that we charge At this point of time, when we look at the fee that we charge international students, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a nominal fee of about 50 ringgit per visit to Pusat Sejahtera. And I asked for the same service, if you charge people from outside, if the panel clinic were to charge, what would be the charges? It goes between 120 to 150. Meaning to say, the 50 ringgit that we charge international students, we still have to subsidize if you were to compare with outside. And our Pusat Sejahtera service, I think it's second to none. But I take note of this. We are looking at the insurance to see if there's outpatient coverage as well. But I think we've not made a good effort in communicating why and where these charges stand in terms of what the general Malaysians pay if they go for the same service. If you're not a staff or student, how much you pay. My first impression is that we are still subsidizing for your healthcare. Okay. Still, I think KEPA and Pusat Sejahtera owe students for a session to explain again the fee structure. Okay, next question.
All right, we have an opinion on Facebook from Muhammad MZN. All right, again, verbatim. Also in future, please buy new bus for USM, long coach bus and shuttle coaster bus with high quality built coach. Bus chassis according to public bus standards such as R66 standard for better safety and long run operation. Fully air suspension chassis, rooftop cleaner type of air conditioning. Our bus fleet's too old and not meet the government agency standard. Just my 2 cents opinion. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Muhammad MZN.
Thank you. We are committing to buy at least 1 bus every year, hopefully for the next 1 or 2 years. We have about at least 6 or 7 buses that has gone beyond their operational year. We know this because Uspakam will give 6 years extension only, 6 month extension only. But here's the thing though, that bus, whoever that wrote that knows about buses, I'm impressed. If you go for the good ones, these are the Scania, and a Scania bus nowadays costs about 850,000 to 900,000 all in. So it's a huge financial commitment because we also need to buy vans, 4-wheel drives, and other things as well, right? But yes, at least 1 bus a year. Again, some of the things that we see that is happening in USM is probably because these are legacy issues, things that we should have done periodically, and yet we've not done that. And suddenly you're faced with this huge challenge that requires huge amount of money. But I agree, some of our buses, if it rains, it rains inside as well. That's amazing. Okay, thank you.
All right, okay. Yes.
So you have a question?
I still have a question, please. My question has to do with the medical facilities. Sometimes ago, it's a personal experience. I had a fracture, and I wanted to assess my insurance. I was told that since I am not on the hospital bed, I cannot assess my insurance.
Yeah, because of the outpatient and inpatient.
Yeah, so I have to pay. I have to pay and pay and pay and pay. To a time, I decided that I'm not going to the hospital any longer because I was, how do I say, I don't have enough with me. So I have to be in the hospital. I have to be in my hostel for 9 weeks to repatriate myself back. So my question is that, is it possible for us to assess our insurance? Because last week I was at the International Islamic University in Kuala Lumpur, and my friend came in with a lot of drugs. And I asked him, where are you coming from? He said he came from the hospital with, I said free, he said free.
Right, okay.
So I want maybe the Vice-Chancellor can make it possible so that we can assess our insurance, whether in or out, you call it in or outpatient?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, as I said, we have to look at the insurance terms, outpatient, inpatient. Another thing that we are looking at is to change the fees. We don't charge, so that we don't charge USD anymore. We charge ringgit. That it will be fairer for all students. Because, you know, if you happen to be a Pakistani, for example, and Pakistan currency is weak compared to USD, you have to pay more. And I don't want USM to benefit from that kind of situation. So now we have to go through the bureaucracies, but we're probably going to charge in ringgit so that you don't have to worry about the exchange rate of USD. And that, to me, is fairer. But we look into this inpatient, outpatient. Thank you, sir. All right, any question? Yeah, you have to come to the mic from back, but we have also Prof. Yeah, go ahead first.
Thank you very much, the Vice-Chancellor, sir. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Remain Usman Muhammad.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I noticed Nigerian students always say that. You observe, what was that again?
I say, okay, I say, permit me to stand on the existing protocol, sir.
Oh, the existing protocol, that's how you say it, right?
Yes.
It's something that I find it very unique. So
yes,
you observe all the protocol.
Introduce everybody here, so that is why.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I say I am Usman Muhammad from the School of Educational Studies. Actually, I wanted to emphasize on this issue of access to the clarity of the insurance policy. Actually, even at the clinic, university's clinic, I think the policy is not even clear. Sometimes when you go there, some will say you have access to 20%. When you go to pay, some will say no, it's 30%. The coverage also is not even clear. Some will tell you, even at the clinic, that the insurance policy cover so things, issues. But when you go for the payment, they will also tell you a different story.
Right.
So the conclusion here, I think, is there is no clear guide or the policy is not clear, even to the health practitioners at the clinic. And I want to say that most of us at the international student, they don't feel they need to go to the university clinic. Most of the international students, they prefer to patronize medical services outside the university. So, like you promised, the Vice-Chancellor, sir, I think it is very important to speedy this issue of medical health policy, so that it will make the university clinic more accessible to the international students.
Thank you, sir.
It is the nearest medical services we can find. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Usman. So I think HEPA and Vice-Chancellor has to really sit down and deal with this once and for all, on the health. Okay, can I have Prof. Chan, right?
Prof. Chin.
Yeah, Chin.
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you, Prof. Rafiq, for your presentations this afternoon. I've been listening this whole afternoon. I think everything is about money.
Oh, no, but yes, money is important. Yes,
yeah. If we have enough money, we can solve many problems,
including
insurance and so on, and publication. But I heard students talking about publication paying so much. I'm a professor. I never paid even a single cent for all my publication for the past 20 years. 0 cent. No, I don't pay anything. So in the future, I'll do the same. I won't pay because basically, this world is ruled by the capitalists. If we can see WOS, Scopus, two different companies, actually they're making money. Anyway, I think this is, I know that there are other reasons why, people are paying, but I have not been paying. But I'm not going to talk about this actually. I'm talking about what caught my attention, and I've been working in a campus every weekend. I observe the campus, at least on the road. I see, just now Prof. Rafiq mentioned about those equipment have been 10 years and more need to be replaced. I think all this needs money, right? The road need to be retire again and so on. Because those small stone and stand all coming off from the road, I think all need money. And looking into the budget 2023, in the past 5 or 6 years, I think the budget has been cut every year, cut. No increase. So I'm not optimistic that next year budget will be higher than this year, could be lower. So, with those equipment waiting to be replaced, and where do we get the money? What caught my attention was just now about spin-off companies. I think in my first 2 years when I joined USM, I got to know like Sains at the time can generate about less than 5% of the of the total university expenses. I do not know about today how much Sains can generate through the collaboration between our academics and the companies outside. I did university industry collaborations. I published 2 papers on this. The last one I did when I was in Taiwan, 2019. I worked with 2 professors, very prominent. One professor invented the technology, membrane technology. They got the FDA approval. That membrane can separate white and red blood cell, and they can make a lot of money. And also, the professor who invented the world's smallest oscillator also make very great impact in terms of generating income for a university. So my question here is that we know that the government will not going to increase much of our funding. Where can we get extra income besides our bread and butter from the students' enrollment, right? So for me, I was thinking, like in our school, we also have some discussion whether staff can increase supervision of master PhD students. They can help to bring in income, but they cannot do that much of research. Like whether we can come to a compromise, okay, staff maybe not getting grant, but they can supervise more students. But we come to issue like, for example, the MIRA, and so on. So I'm thinking, whether that we can think, because for me is that the private sector, basically, the main income comes from student enrollment. Whether we can increase the student enrollment, at the same time, to get our income from discovery, from our researcher, our academics, we can generate more income.
Thank you.
And probably other source of income.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to share with everyone that in Malaysia we have Malaysia Plan. It's a 5-year plan that will allow large expenses. We call them development expenses. When I look at our record in terms of this Malaysia Plan, again, we did not coordinate this well. Although I have to say for this year, the 12th Malaysia Plan, so 12th Malaysia Plan is organized in terms of RP, rolling plan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you do is that you apply and they will announce in the following year and you get the money. Under RMK 12, for first 2 rolling plan 1, which is 2020-2021, and rolling plan 2, 2021 to 2022, USM managed to secure about 220 million, which is among the largest among all institutions, but mainly for our hospital in Kubang Krian. For RP3, which we know the result end of this year, there will be about, if all things go well, we get about 29 million for engineering, 38 million for IPPT, and for the main campus, we fix some big issues. We are now at the process of planning for RP4. That is one big source of funds from the government to improve our university. But it requires a lot of coordination, and the management has to be extremely smart to pitch to economic planning unit. So that's one way of looking at it. Yeah, I mean, spin off and start up is going to take a while to create the money as well, Prof. Our interest in spin off and start up is to allow people to explore commercialization of their IP. And in most cases, 90% of startups will fail in the first 5 years. we want to give the opportunity for people to fail so that they can actually start again. But what's important as well is that when we introduce courses around entrepreneurship, when we talk about commercialization, we have people who have skin in the game, who actually has experienced this, rather than being theoretical. I know that, commercializing your IP is a romantic idea. Everyone will agree for that, but not many people are willing to pay the price to do it. And I have also my own spin-off. There are good years, there are bad years, there are years when you have to put in your own money. But again, at least I can speak with credibility how to run a startup, what's difficult about it. And I think we're looking at a good traction in terms of a number of people who are now forming startups. And the one I mentioned were the 22 that were approved, but the application is actually growing. And I like to encourage all students as well, especially the postgraduates, to have a go. If you're not confident with startup, go with pitch first, where we can give you 10,000 ringgit. The recent pitch recipients, one group is from education. They do chatbot for teaching language, comprising of completely, 3 international postgraduates, all females, by the way. So we're lacking in terms of the male species. So these are things that we are actually building. We don't see startup or spin-off as one of the key income generating for now. Unless, of course, 1 or 2 get purchased, 10 million, 20 million, and they give back 1 million to USM, that'd be good. But again, thank you for your opinion. Sir, you need? This is Idris, the president of the Nigerian Student Society.
Thank you, sir, for that mild introduction. Thank you for your wonderful presentation, and thank you all for giving us this opportunity to air our views and also contribute our own quota towards the running of the university. My colleagues have raised the issue of one of the key or core bordering issues, bordering around the being of international students around the campus or here in Malaysia. The first issue has been raised, which has to do with the health issue, and I believe the management is going to address that. The second issue I come up with has nothing to do with money, but largely a procedure. I am bringing the message from our co-sponsors from Nigeria, that is the Educational Trust Fund, who sponsored almost between 90 to 95% of Nigerians coming to Malaysia for postgraduate studies. The problem we have is the issue of recurring cost, or recurring fees. It doesn't get captured when we apply for the invoice. So what the fund does is whatsoever is being stated on the invoice is what they are going to give you. So we end up with shortfall. And after the release of the said fund, you cannot reclaim.
Right.
You keep on writing to them, they will tell you no. They can only take directives from the institution. So they advised me, they were here some 2 months ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
To monitor our progress here on campus. And one of the suggestions they made was to raise to the management that recording cost, whenever a student is applying for the invoice, should be captured. Every penny that a student is expected to pay should be captured in the invoice. That will be accounted for. Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Haji Kamarul, tengok. Okay. Right, so the Besar is here, so he'll follow up. It's not difficult to find Idris. He's always there in the mosque or in the new office in H25, which we need to put aircon and chairs and laptops. I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Perhaps, Arman, do you want to read something from Facebook or email?
Okay, I'll take some from Facebook, right.
Anyone wants to add anything? Farid, you want to add anything about your science?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon. Thank you very much, Professor. So for information of the audience, Science Holding is commercial arm of University of Science Malaysia, and so far, alhamdulillah, basic cooperation is coming from the academic researchers, and even the students. So the revenues of USign is sustained and stable, and we were able to contribute revenues back to USM. And so far, since we had calculated on yearly basis, last year, as mentioned by Professor, we had contributed in terms of cash back to USM around 14 million, 1-4. Yep. And contributions that we made that consider, especially the questions coming from Chi tadi, the honorarium that we paid to the researchers. Yeah. Last year we recorded at 16 million, 1-6. So that's one of the highest. And even contributions coming from the healthcare services, especially in Kubang Krian, and inshallah we're going to expand in Bertam as well. Last year recorded the highest since the operation starts under USigns, 33.8 million. So that's the highest. So I hope the relationships and cooperation between USM and so USign, the commercial arm of USM, will continue, and we will be able to contribute more back to the mother, especially is referring to University Science Malaysia. Thank you, bro.
Thank you. What's unique about USM and USign is that our relationship is good. It's not necessarily the same with regards to holding companies of other universities. So I think this is a momentum that we should continue. And USign is targeting to get 50 million in terms of revenue next 1 or 2 years, which will actually be plowed back to USM. So the support is very much appreciated. Any more?
Yeah, I will take one final, and I think this is the hardest one of them all. Oh. We'll just end it with that. Right, this is from a lecturer from CDR. Okay, I have many questions to raise, but given the time constraint, I will only solicit clarifications on the following questions deemed vital for USM's longevity. Do we want to continue to play the KPI game set by KPT and USM to show we are progressing inch by inch, for instance, in terms of having published great numbers of papers, collected substantial revenue from tuition fees, etc.? I'm afraid that what USM is doing now, though highly commendable and timely, will one day bite us so badly beyond our repair, since many people are already toying with the loosely implemented systems to achieve their individual targets. That's one. Ironically, we see USM keep changing its slogans on every occasion when there is a new leadership, from the prize-winning tagline, uplifting the bottom billions and soaring upwards, and now to the latest mantra, championing people and planet. My concern is, are we sincerely defending all of these slogans, in fact, when most don't get to physically feel or see its true intentions materializing? Finally, how can we go about creating a fair system that treats and champions everyone more equitably, as well as that can put a stop to hanky-panky doings orchestrated by apple polishers? Regards. Lecturer from CDR, yeah.
Thank you so much. You saved the best for the last, I suppose. Look, this is something that has been on and on, right? One, what do we want? Sometimes when I'm faced with this question, the question I pose back is actually what exactly that you want, right? When I took over, let's say during that time there's no KPI, even though now we're not really pushing people for KPI because we tell schools, you set your own targets, okay? So let's accept that. You are KPI crazy, we don't have an idea for ourselves, we are still dictated by Mohi and Myra and all those things. Let me just admit that, let's say that is true. And second, a fair system, and again, where we're going with this. Now, when I took over, we are about to lose our self-accreditation status, which means that if you want to introduce new programs for the benefit of our students, we have to go through a long procedure. So we say, we don't agree with this research emphasis. Forget about Myra. And therefore, we lose 16 million in terms of funding. Who wants to be accountable for this? And then who has to think how to make sure that everyone can continue their work when it comes to research. It's one thing to say, you know what, this doesn't work. But those people who are saying that are also beneficiaries of these grants, of this support. Do you have a different way of doing it? I just said in my report that these are things that, yes, these are all successes, one way or another if you look at it. Would you rather see something that, you know, our journalists are not there, we lose our RU status, we don't create money so that we can give special budget? What exactly that people want in this sense? If you don't acknowledge all this, fair enough, but I don't see any alternative to it. I can't. So before we have a one-size-fits-all to measure all academics, they have the same standard track. There's a big say, people are asking for, why don't you introduce impact? Because it's no use publishing 10,000 papers, but there's no impact to society. We listen, the new review has 30% on impact. We don't trust people in USM. They cannot give us a fair assessment of our performance. We would trust people externally because they can be objective, they are better than academics or professors in USM. Fine. The recent senior lecturer to associate professor application, 183 applicants, we send those who have actually been recommended by the school externally. But I also said to everyone, our recent professor exercise crashed completely. Why? 81 applicants, only 15 were recommended for interview, 7 were appointed. From the 81, a big majority did not pass through external assessment. Because, while other people are progressing, we are still arguing about what are we doing with this KPI. And then we are actually judging the policies based on people who would try to manipulate their way for their career progress. I don't want to believe that from 1,800 academics that we have, most of them are snakes and they want to actually shortcut their way in their career. I would like to believe that this is just the behavior of 5%, which we have to accept, right? I don't know what else do people want. We actually have lots of track so that you can actually proceed with your own forte. No one is stopping you from getting impact. Prove that you have impact. Don't use that argument to not perform, to be neglectful of your students, to don't offer advanced courses. I mean, what do people want actually? I have no idea. I don't know what these comments are, but please educate me how best to run an institution and show what kind of progress other than this, other than we have good in community engagement, our students get jobs, we have money to spend to improve things, we don't lose in terms of RU, we don't force people on KPI, we give you to set the targets. It's up to you whether you want to set targets. Right? If you're too lazy to set your own target, you want to follow again papers because you're ambitious, you want to be a professor in 5 years, don't blame the university for that. Am I right? Okay, so I don't know, I mean, sometimes I wish, those people who say that, be the VC and see where you're going to stay this institution. So we say Apex, for example. Is it not the Apex thing to do to cater for students, kids with special needs? Is it not the Apex thing to do to look in our staff children, to worry about their being stunted, being malnourished? Is it not the Apex things to do to make sure that people who get an E and F get an A or whatever? Is it not the Apex thing to do to make sure that our students get the best? And we have, if they come from the poor family, what chances they get to expose to VR or AR and all those things? What are the chances? What are the chances they end up in Taiwan, for example? Is it not the Apex thing to do to make sure that they are, we offer them life where we teach them all these things? Is it not the Apex thing to do to add to our health services so that we enjoy the best healthcare? I don't get it. How is it that the university is still being seen as unfair when we do all this? So I think that's my response.
All right. Okay. Thank
Obviously,
you.
I'm I'm quite annoyed, but please educate us on how best to do this. Don't just throw one excuse after the other. Refuse to accept that this is USM that we have now. And of course, we're not a perfect institution. We have some weaknesses, but by all means, if you have the chance, do it other way around and see what else can be done. Okay, last question, sir, from you, and then let's end this.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Peter from School of Languages.
Peter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very American way of looking. Okay.
Yeah. I think we've actually sent some emails last year.
Sorry?
We've sent some emails. We have communicated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after last year's PMP. I'm one of the guys that was not very happy being a staff here. Unfortunately, I'm still not very happy being a staff here.
Okay.
But don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the group basa thing.
All right.
Speaking about career progression. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about professors because I'm not even senior lecturer yet. I've been here 3 years. I'm a lecturer, right? And based on the last Kemajuan Kejaya thing, July, okay, it seems that my pathway to get from 45 to 52 has been even harder now. It feels like the goalposts have kept moving and moving. Okay, when I first came in here, they said, oh, you don't have a verified publication, whatever. My dean told me you need 2 papers and maybe pegang 1 grant. Now I look at the criteria, it says complete 1 grant research, okay, that's gonna be add an extra 2 or 3 years to my timeline. And then have another like 2 as corresponding author in journals of whatever, Scopus. So I feel like, yes, you do a lot of things for students, for the community, but people are unhappy because you're not taking care of the staff. Okay, I'm here 3 years, my RLKA bond is 7 years. I have 4 more years to go, right? At the rate things are going, I don't see myself even hitting 52. So what's the point for me to stay beyond my bond? Right? Every time I get loaded with work, and okay, you say not KPI, right? But I can't help but think about KPI. Okay, because you set the KPI like this to get the next step. Okay, so it's not that we want to be KPI, right? And you say, yes, you didn't set KPIs for us, but the implicit KPI is in there in the promotion criteria. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? I cannot abandon my students, because like what you said, we care about our students, right? But if I don't try to fill all the baskets which I have to fill, that's just the publication, right? You have to be what? Pengajaran dan penyiaran. I have to supervise until graduation 1 master's student. Which at this point, I've been here 3 years, I have some co-supervised students, and I have none of them are nearly there. So how long do I have to wait, right? I know some new hires come in, they have 1 publication, and they get 51. Okay, so it feels like because I didn't get 51 at first, I get knocked further and further behind. And every time you guys change the criteria, it becomes further and further apart. So yes, you can say that, oh, what can teach me how to run a university? Well, yeah, it's actually not our job, right? But we are unhappy because of all this like shifting goalposts.
Thank you, Peter.
So
appreciate that. Okay, so first and foremost, the criteria has not been approved, 1. Second, you set your target, right? You want to be at DS51 in 3 years, or you want to be a professor in 5 years. Then you have to pay the price. It's not going to be served on a silver platter. Listen, wait, I give you to talk, now let me talk, right? And the third is, I just highlighted the kind of challenges that we have to face as an institution. The world out there is changing. Are we supposed to just stay put and not change accordingly? I mean, if the tough gets going, the good, whatever the proverb is. So yes, and these changes, by the way, let me just again highlight, when we change this, it is still lower than any other institution that we have. Still lower. Do you want, what? Do you want us to bend over backwards? Things are moving. More challenges. More demand on the institution. Do you want to be responsible for the 16 million that we lost? Have we made you accountable or any of those? Ada? We haven't. We will continue to provide whatever. But people have to meet us halfway. That's my response, Peter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we would like to acknowledge those who did send in questions on FB, YouTube, as well as email that we couldn't accommodate due to time. Thank you so much for your participation. Well, not all answers were given, all right? Not everyone is happy, but that's life, right? We have to move on and we have to make it better. Emphasis on we, all right? So with that, thank you once again, Vice-Chancellor. Thank you all of you for participating. I'm sure that the emails from Peter won't end today, all right? They will keep coming, but obviously, I think as long as we engage, we need to understand and look at perspectives from both sides, walk a mile in our shoes as we walk a mile in yours, right? To see where we can come across and find a balance that will be better for all of us. All right, thank you once again. We are having a photo shoot session. So I'd like to invite members of JKPU to fill up the front row down, right, for our photo session. And for those who are following us online, the QR code for your CPD and My CSD will be featured on your screen soon, all right? Once again, thank you. And there's a small token of appreciation outside. There's some packed food that we hope that you will take back with you. Thank you once again, and just a reminder, there will be one more session conducted in Bahasa Malaysia, same time tomorrow here as well in DTSP. Thank you with that, good day, and have a blessed week. Thank you.